Hey, welcome to the Tim and Gugabe podcast. This is your host, Tim. Gugabe, how are you doing?
Yeah, ticking along. How are we, Tim?
Good. Your mic sounds good right now, which is a rare thing. But Australia making the round of 16 in the World Cup, and same with my country, the USA.
I'm definitely across that. Soccer is a crazy crapshoot of a sport.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, like for only 3 games for group stage is kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's just kind of I don't know, and just like so much stuff relies on like it comes down to like VAR decisions and shit. It's just kind of dumb. But I still like soccer, but I do think like from like an entertainment perspective, but I don't bet other sports because I wouldn't win money if I did. But do you want to talk before we're going to do the main card, guys? For the 2 listeners listening, we'll do the main card, and then we might talk about 1 or 2 of the prelims that interest us. But you want to talk about the James Krause like situation? If like people who don't know, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Gugabe, but I think the story is that Derek Minner fight happened, was a little sketchy, and then I think that got flagged by, some type of integrity people, like some integrity firm, like gaming firm, and they're investigating it. And then I think New Jersey, you can't bet fights with Krause involved, essentially, with James Krause involved. And then Ontario, you can't bet UFC fights. And that got mentioned today. The New Jersey thing was like a week or 2 ago. Which is kind of nuts. Like, Ontario's like, a big province in Canada, and the fact that you just like can't. And sorry, I'm not like very aware of all like Canadian geography, but that seems like a pretty fucking big deal.
I mean, don't fix fights, and you should handle it a lot better. Like that fight was fixed. That was fucked.
Yeah, whether it was like him planning to go down or like injury information getting leaked, I mean, it was pretty clear. It sounds like from the statement I was reading for like Ontario, it kind of just seems like once the UFC has demonstrated that they have kind of combated, potential like inside betting, then they can probably get back. So I'm guessing, honestly, in like a couple months or something, it will probably be back in Ontario, but who knows at this point, right? And it seems like that investigation is still ongoing with that Minner fight because we haven't heard a conclusion on that. But whole thing was kind of crazy. It just like blew up really quick, because I think we mentioned like on the night after we recapped it, at least, that we thought for sure an investigation would happen, but I didn't know it would like lead to all this. It's kind of been crazy.
Yeah, it's been interesting that different regions are responding in different ways, and I can't think how to put this. Yeah, like Krause, the housing situation was stupid, but kind of okay. And like you're always going to have an insider information thing in UFC. It's too hard to keep it kind of siloed, and like until MMA gets level where like people aren't training with randoms. Like even like in Australia, you can just kind of self-train with professional. I imagine America's quite similar. Where if you're in the gym in certain areas, you can just train with UFC fighters. So it'd be very hard to completely stop insider trading. But yeah, that Minner situation was fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I used to roll with like I don't know if you know Brian Foster. Like he kind of. It hasn't been around for a while in the UFC, but I used to roll with him. Like, and while he was in the UFC, and and I'm sure that's very common with a lot of fighters, like just random people who happen to do jiu-jitsu on weeknights or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of, the whole thing's kind of crazy. I'm guessing like prediction. I'm guessing he's going to get blackballed in a way, like from the UFC, like we're like UFC is pretty controlling, and I just feel like they'll probably push fighters away from training with him, just because, I mean, DraftKings is one of their big sponsors, and they're based in Vegas, and gambling's like a big, it's kind of intermingled with what the UFC does, so I'm just guessing something like that will happen. Is that kind of what you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the correct thing to do, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and I like don't hate on fights. Yeah, I don't hate on Kraus or anything, but clearly, like, I mean, we don't know for sure, but obviously something, not good
That crossed
happened.
the line.
Yeah, it like crossed the line, and I don't want his like life to end or something, but it does seem like he'll probably get punished in a way, and like rightfully so, right? Like, I mean, I don't like wish unfortune on anyone, but the whole thing was just kind of sketchy. But I mean, we'll see more whenever it comes out. But enough about that. Yeah, this guy. Who cares about soccer when we have men and women knocking each other out for it? I agree. So let's talk about that. We'll just do the main card. Start with the main event, and we'll maybe. This is a pretty good card as far as like. There's a lot of like fun fights. I feel this is better than some pay-per-views, But we could just talk about Thompson Holland. Do you have any strong opinions here, or what do you kind of think of the fight?
It's a weird one. I'm still not 100% sold on Holland as a welterweight. Like, Brazilian Cowboy and all that wasn't necessarily the best showings for him. I'm curious how his cardio goes. But I kind of feel like Holland, if he does win, is probably just going to be too fast, too rangy for Wonderboy early and kind of bonk him quickly. So I think there's a good chance of a decent live bet on Wonderboy after, say, a round or so, just to get some information and clarity around how Wonderboy's moving. And I think Holland's kind of front-loaded anyway. I took a little bit of goes distance early at like plus 190 because I feel like it's a striking match, and I don't think Holland's going to take him down and start working the grappling. So like, I just feel like Wonderboy is pretty good at minimizing and not getting knocked the fuck out. Again, I probably would bet Wonderboy at this pick up plus 150. Gosh, that's moved. Because I remember it was like evens early in the week.
Holland's minus 170 now. So like
180. Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. I wouldn't bet
I would not take
Holland at this price. Like it's not like Thompson, in a striking fight, I just wouldn't bet many people at minus 180 against Wonderboy. I do think just like durability wise, Holland's probably more durable, and the youth. Like if Thompson shows up not looking that great, I wouldn't be shocked. We're like Holland's going to be fine. So like if it was like even gun to my head, I would maybe pick Holland, but I'm not going to bet him at this price.
Yeah, I mean, but Holland has other concerns like cardio and sort of lack of a plan B kind of thing. So like, I'll wait about 5 minutes. If Wonderboy looks fucked, I'll just be like, all right, I'm happy I passed.
Yeah.
If Wonderboy doesn't look fucked, then I'm just like, well, I feel like Holland probably wins the first round. Or Holland's best round should be the first round regardless. So, if Wonderboy's moving okay, but Holland kind of edges him for round one, maybe I get plus 220 or something. I'm happy to take that. And I trust Wonderboy down the stretch once.
It's just like looking at their distance striking numbers, it's like Holland generally outlands everyone, and Wonderboy kind of does too whenever he actually does shit. He's had those strange fights versus like Woodley and Till where he just fights he should definitely win, but when they don't do anything, which like Woodley and Till generally don't throw strikes, like sometimes Thompson can get stuck into like low volume fights. But whenever like people come after him, he's pretty fucking good, like Wonderboy.
I think the issue I have is his pocket defense isn't necessarily the best, or the boxing defense isn't necessarily the best, and like Holland's probably the best in terms of like rangy, fast boxing that he's fought against.
Yeah.
But you own Rory McDonald. Rory McDonald was, good back in his day.
Yeah, just 5-round striking fights are just tough, because like you don't know how the pace will be. Chins like are weird to call, and they're just not. I feel like we've gotten so many 5-round striking fights recently, and I like haven't bet like any of them. I've just been passing on the main events on these fight nights. But I think it. I don't know. I'm passing. I'm just not too enthusiastic about it. Going on to the co-main event, RDA and Barberena. I don't really know why this fight's happening, but here we are. I mean, I guess I kind of like whenever guys like RDA, I just don't see why they have to keep fighting killers after killers, So actually, I think it does kind of make sense, like giving them a drop down in competition just at their age, But so I guess it makes sense from that perspective. Like I get what like RDA is the rightful favorite. He has the grappling upside. I mean, Barberena gave up like 8 and another handful of takedowns against Matt Brown and Jason Witt. So like RDA can definitely land takedowns here. I think Barberena defends him at like 55%. So I get why RDA is the favorite, but I am just worried at that. Like that's a big price, you know, and it's like if they strike a little bit, it's like Barberena isn't as technical as RDA as a striker, but he like, I don't know, he could edge a round or two, you know, like with like volume and enthusiasm, but he still looked pretty shot against Matt Brown, I would say, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd rather take RDA submission at like plus 300 than I would money line at minus 600 because I feel like if I'm getting a minus 600 RDA performance, I'm probably getting a lot of top control. So yeah, I'd rather kind of take the upside of the sub, you know, at 25% than I would the minus 600 because like you never know if RDA decides he wants to get into a dick measuring contest for no particular reason.
Yeah, and like I get why people might not like that because Barberena's never been submitted in his like career or in the UFC, but it's like he hasn't really faced guys who are like major submission threats, really, you know, because like even guys like Colby, they're not submission threat. Yeah, pretty much like no one he's fought. I mean, a few, but like he didn't get the type of grappling fights where it would have been a submission threat. Like Luke is a submission threat, but that was just kind of a war on the feet. Because if like RDA lands 5 to 8 takedowns like Ivy, Matt Brown, and Witt did, I do feel like a submission could happen, you know? I pretty much agree with what you said, but I'm not going to bet that fight. I don't really care.
RDA getting into a stupid dick measuring contest just feels too live for the minus 600.
It is too live. Like that plus just MMA being MMA, you know, like shit happening.
Bob's a good opportunist. Like again, I'm not betting Bob, but like I'm not into minus. And particularly RDA's age as well.
Yeah,
like they're both old, but you know you never know with old man fights. Like they could both suddenly go off a cliff.
Yeah, there's too many variables to like bet a minus 600 of just like shit randomly happening. But like if RDA shows up in form and you know following a game plan, he should be all right. I think we agree.
Yeah, ITD is a little bit tempting, but after RDA Moicano, I have given up on RDA inside the distances.
Yeah,
that was fucked.
Yeah, that was. I can't believe they didn't stop that one.
Yeah, it was plus money for the inside distance. No, yeah, it was fucking just like do better as a sport.
Moicano took like a career-altering beating in that fight.
He took like 4 of them.
Yeah, seriously.
Like that was like one of the ugliest performances. That's why I fucking hate when you get that thing where the doctors like you can see the doctor and the ref are both trying to give each other the job of stopping the fight.
Yeah, what was the fight?
Doctor's like,
what was the fight recently where the doctor is like talking to Herb Dean and he's like, "What do you think like about the cut?" do you know what I'm talking about?
Was it Song Yudong?
Yeah. It was. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Song Yudong where he was talking to the ref. And it's like, dude, you're the fucking doctor, and like he just clearly didn't want to stop the fight because he was like worried about just getting booed and stuff. I feel.
Yeah, it's also like you get the thing like at the start of the round, they'll be like, "Oh, if this gets any worse, it's the ref's job to stop it." And the ref's like, "If it gets any worse, it's the doctor's job to stop it." And it's just like nobody ends.
Yeah. They're like petrified to stop the fight.
It's happened like this has legit happened multiple times in the last year, which is injuries, which is like fucking.
Yeah. Now moving on to another fun fight, like juiced odds. Nicolau and Schnell. You want to talk about this one?
I don't know why is Schnell such a big dog. Like, I like Nicolau. Nicolau's a fun fighter, but like, Schnell is Schnell will go to war and it's a plus 300. It's not Nicolau. Yeah, Nicolau tends to run his fights pretty close in terms of volume and that kind of stuff. Like Schnell, I think is probably better athlete, bigger. Like Nicolau's small favorite, I understand, but like minus 400, what? Why?
I think Nicolau should be like a moderate favorite just because I do feel like he's like better at everything mostly, like from a round winning perspective. And I do think he can like float in top position. But I do agree, like if Schnell doesn't get hurt here or something, Nicolau just doesn't land enough strikes where like a round or two could be competitive on the feet. I feel like if Nicolau dominates rounds, it will be the top position. Like I still think he's a better
knockdowns,
huh?
Or like knockdowns, or yeah. I think
That too. Like I mean, it's like I still think like Nicolau's the right. I mean, he should be a decent sized favorite here. I think just because like he's more likely to win inside the distance, and Schnell generally wins by submission, and Nicolau's like never been submitted in his career, and like a lot of the submissions by Schnell are like against guys with terrible ground games or they're like hurt, you know? Like I just feel like Schnell is less likely to get a finish here than usual, but I do agree if it goes to like if it's like a 15-minute kickboxing fight, it could get close rounds, you know?
I mean, I think if it goes to decision, it probably looks like the Nam fight for Schnell, and like that was not, and it just probably just is like fairly close.
Yeah.
And, like,
unless if he just gets laid on, you know, where it's like, which could happen. Like Nicolau has more ways to win here for sure. I think he's a ref favorite, but I'm not going to play like minus 380 or whatever. I remember being interested at minus 200, and then literally the next day it was like minus 350, and I was like, "Fuck!" And I hadn't researched it, so I missed it. You know?
Yeah, sounds about right. Also, it's like Nicolau in his 3 fights since he came back to the UFC, it's like they've all been fucking close.
Yeah,
like Elliot's kind of went full retard, but
even the Dvorak fight, it's like he won clean because of kind of knockdowns, you know, which I don't like to rely on, but. I will say, like, him hurting Schnell probably is, like, very realistic, you know?
Yeah, but, like, I think Schnell can hurt him as well.
Maybe.
Yeah, like, that's my issue with Schnell. Like, I feel like people will wiki gap Schnell and be like, oh, he like relies on the submissions a lot. But it's like, he's not a bad minute winner. And he's not like and most of his subs are coming from club subs. It was just like, he's Schnell's a functional fighter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, Schnell's only really been covered. Like, I mean, who has ever really covered this big a number on Schnell in the UFC?
I'd have to look. I'm sure.
Like Rob Font, I guess. Well, that was kind of debating, but like Rob Font's fucking massive and bantamweight, but like, Royval was kind of a coin flip mess. Bonta, and he looked a bit bad, but I wouldn't say he looked minus 300 bad. Nam, coin flip. Pantoja, coin flip. Bunch of other coin flips. So, Schnell he's busy. He does things. Like, he can be knocked out, but like, he just genuinely competes.
Yeah. Kind of like a counter argument. Like I'm not gonna bet Nicolau, but I do think Nicolau is just like really good defensively, so it's hard to land offense on him. Like Nicolau defends strikes at 67%, defends takedowns at 93%. So it's like if Schnell wins a decision, it's gonna be like a split. But
I just think there's a good chance. I just think if it goes 15 minutes, it's gonna be an ugly split.
It could be, yeah.
Looking at the striking defense, try to for context, because I feel like Smolka kind of like threw hundreds of strikes to them, and Smolka kind of
Schnell's striking defense is like 57%, but like some of it has been on the mat and stuff, you know. 57 like isn't bad.
Because like, if you look at his striking stats, like his defensive numbers are massively skewed by the Elliott and Smolka fights.
Yeah.
Where those guys just kind of just threw a lot of leaf blower volume at him from outside.
I think Schnell needs a random finish or a close striking decision. That's pretty much what I think he needs to win. So, like, he can do it, but I think the paths to victory for Nicolau are way more realistic, but who knows?
I think it's close.
Your type of fight, heavyweight, slugfest, Pavlovich and Tuivasa?
I think Tuivasa's the side pretty clearly. Like, Pavlovich is probably a bigger hitter, but we really don't know that much about Pavlovich.
Yeah, that's kind of, whenever I was taping, I was like, he got just kind of, the Overeem fight doesn't really tell me much going against Tuivasa. It was like on the mat and stuff, you know? And then all of his other fights have just been like against guys who just crumbled and like, you know, and like, Tuivasa will like go after him, you know? And so I feel like no one's gone after Pavlovich on the feet because like Overeem, it was on the mat. And then like Gom, Green, Shamil, Lewis, they all got like finished quickly and didn't like what's going to happen to Pavlovich because Tuivasa like will come. I mean, Tuivasa fucking hurt Gon and he like, so yeah, like I'm not interested in Pavlovich at minus 220. I just feel like he's really untested. Like I don't know what he's even going to be like if someone hits him, you know?
I I mean, Shamil was doing fine for minutes. Like Shamil was, it was like 20-6, wasn't it? Before Shamil got hurt.
I do think Pavlovich looks like better at like range as far as like technical and like distance management, like wouldn't you say? But at the same time, like Tuivasa, he's gonna force a brawl, And Tuivasa's tough. Like he's tough.
Also, the thing is, I don't think Pavlovich doesn't seem to be able to check leg kicks.
Yeah. Like, I've seen a lot of people bring that up, and I agree with that too. And it's just heavyweight, It's just like even if Pavlovich is like better, it's like it's still fucking heavyweight MMA,
Yeah, like the only way I can see him justifying minus 225 is if like Pavlovich has this supposed wrestling background, and like maybe if the wrestling background
he hasn't even attempted a takedown in the UFC.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I know it's only been like 5 rounds because it's all like first round finishes, but still.
And it's like, even if he can wrestle, can he hold people down? Can he do it for long? There's lots of questions on top of that.
There's too many questions on Pavlovich to bet him at this line. I like, gun to my head, I would maybe pick him to win because he seems like more technical. But if Tuivasa just goes out there and just fucking runs out there like an idiot and just knocks him out, I'd be like, okay. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, I think Pavlovich is a fucking nuclear hitter. That's one of the main things on him. But otherwise, it's like, what the fuck else is he?
Yeah, and it's just like some of these guys aren't as durable as Tuivasa. Like Tuivasa can get hurt, but he is tough. Like a lot of the times he's been finished he's been finished 2 times 3 times in the UFC. 2 of them were on the mat against JDS and Sergey Spivak, and then Cyril Gane, like. Yeah, he got knocked out there, but he also like fucking almost knocked out Gane.
Yeah. And he took it like a prolonged beating at the end as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he just quit.
Like I'm not confident in a side here at all, but it's just like with all the unknowns and just heavyweight and Ty's tough, and just even if Ty's like worse, he could land a knockout.
It's like the only way I could say Pavlovich covering is if it's like Pavlovich's grappling just happens.
Yeah.
Like, if you could give me a pure striking, fight, it's just like, Tuivasa is going to cover that kind of price. Because Pavlovich doesn't seem defensively, and he hits big, but I don't know. What else does he do?
Cam, we did start at the top of the card. We started with on the main event, Holland, and then we're just kind of working down. So, yeah, I think we're in agreement there. I haven't like played anything. Honestly, I'm kind of just hoping like I still probably won't play the fight, to be honest. But if like Pavlovich, I could see Pavlovich getting to like minus 300, couldn't you? Like just something dumb, and then I might pull the trigger. Yeah,
I've taken a little bit plus 200-ish, but if it just keeps shooting out, I'll take a bit more.
Interesting.
How long can it be?
Yeah. Interesting fight here, Dolidze and Hermansson. I think Hermansson's the rightful favorite. I just don't know like what Dolidze is. Like there's a lot of people who seem to think he like sucks, and I was kind of worried about Dacus as like minus 250 against him. I remember. I'm kind of like I don't like think he like necessarily is like terrible, but I don't necessarily think he's good either. I'm kind of meh on him type of thing. He is like a tough guy and he can finish people, so that gives him like a chance in matchups. But I just feel like Hermansson seems to be better at everything. Like as a striker, he's probably got more volume. But I will say, Dolidze, even though he only lands 2.6 significant strikes per minute, I see so many people talking about how he's like a bum striker. He only absorbs 1.54, and he's generally like outlanded everyone at distance he has fought. So, but I also don't think he's been like tested. Like Hermansson will actually spam volume on him, and I think the fight we'll like learn a lot more about his striking then. But like even though he's not landing a ton of volume on the feet, he's been outlanding everyone. So and he has some power. So I'm not sure he's just like a guaranteed to be fucked on the feet here, but I will favor like the more proven Hermansson with volume on the feet. The thing is on the mat, it's like he defends takedowns at 33% and goes for like knee bars, and like him going for knee bars against Hermansson's a very bad idea. Like Hermansson, he hasn't. if you're like new to kind of the sport, Hermansson's top game is really fucking good. Like his ground and pound and like finishing ability. It's just his wrestling is generally hasn't been good enough in fights recently to get it there. But if he can get on top of Delidze, you agree he could just fuck him up, right?
Yeah, I think if Delidze's a bit tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird spot because like Hermansson's a bit noodly and a bit fragile. So if Delidze just kind of runs
that's
out
what I'm
screaming,
worried about. Yeah,
I feel like Delidze could pull off like third. Yeah, I think the Delidze win probably looks a lot like his last 2 wins.
Yeah, just kind of like a random, just like hurting him, and Jack's trying to recover and gets finished or something.
Yeah, or they're doing a scramble and Delidze pulls a heel hook out of his ass, kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
but yeah, my personal view, I'm gonna look for Hermansson. I've got like Hermansson late round props. I've got the inside distance. I'm surprised that price is so. I thought that'd be like minus 200. And what else were we talking about? Yeah,
I agree with Cam's comment here. Like, Delidze is weird. It's like an anomaly, and I do agree. Like, he's dangerous, and I'm like worried about parts of his game, but I also think like he's not terrible. You know, like I'm just kind of I kind of want to see more of him, right? Like, I just feel like we need to see more. I'm not really. I'm just hesitant to bet his fights. You know.
He's just got a cluster of stupid high roll stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's like Ortega. It's like, yeah, he could just roll the dice on like 4 different things in the fight and just be like, oh, I got a 6, I win.
Yeah.
But it's like the connective tissue is kind of stupid and like he gets tired and there's a bunch of other issues there. But like, it's just, if you can chain together enough like I win buttons, you can just kind of happen to get one of them work.
Yeah, like I mean, Delidze could maybe compete on the feet. Like he could maybe hurt Jack. I don't know. Maybe he can land a takedown. Like there's ways for him to win the fight, but I still like trust Hermansson more. Just like his top game is seriously crushing. Like when he actually gets there, it's kind of like Rockhold, where it's like neither of them had the wrestling to get to the top game, but when they actually got there, you're fucked. You know.
Hermansson versus Rockhold would have been a fucking great fight.
Yeah.
It was really stupid.
Yeah, that would have been a really dumb fight.
They would have both gone for guillotines. It would have been great.
Yeah, it's like, could one of them defend themselves on the mat? Like Rockhold looked so bad compared to his prime against Costa. Like and it was hilarious because he still like had a lot like pockets of success in that fight, but he looked awful in that fight. Yeah, if that was prime Rockhold, I think he would have fucked Costa up.
Yeah, I think prime Rockhold probably gets knocked out in like 10 seconds just because like that's how the universe works.
It would have just been dumb and happened. Yeah,
like he would just died off the first shot. And people were like, oh, Costa fucks.
It's like when he was actually throwing strikes and shit, and he got tired so quickly in that fucking Costa fight. And when he actually like strung together offense, he would like land every time. I don't know.
Rockhold is just a bizarre fighter.
Yeah.
Just the archetype was very weird. Like Rockhold was like the perfect version of Delidze.
But like back to Delidze Hermansson, I think we're kind of in like we agree Hermansson should be favored, but you're like it's minus 200 now, and I'm just like I'm not too. I'm kind of meh about it. I will. Because I feel like the main card, I kind of just like didn't have strong opinions. I will say I do like Holtzman over Guida, and I think a lot of people might disagree with me, but I just feel like it's just a good style matchup for him, and I just feel like people are kind of going nuts on like the whole recency bias of him getting killed by Gamrot and Dariush. It's just like Guida hasn't landed a knockdown for like 30 rounds, and Holtzman's really hard to grapple. Like even in those fights, he showed he's really hard to hold down, and I've always noticed that about Holtzman. I just feel like Holtzman will get a striking fight, and Guida got outlanded like 80 to 66 at range against John Madsen, and like Holtzman is a better striker than Madsen. And I don't know, I just feel like people are, even if Holtzman's shot, and I feel like that's kind of why the line's closer than it should be, I feel like it doesn't even matter versus Guida, because like Guida doesn't have like the game. It's like Hooker versus Playlace. It's like, yeah, Hooker might be shot, but who cares? It's like Playlace isn't going to test his chin. You know what I mean?
I kind of broadly agree. Obviously, Gamrot was a bum. Losing to him was not good. But Gamrot is a bum. We'll figure this out.
I think Gamrot's fine. I did think he was. I thought that fight against Dariush, I was very like 50-50 about it, and I just kind of thought it wasn't a good spot at -200 for Gamrot, but hindsight's 2020.
I think Gamrot's like a fine top 25 kind of fighter, but I think people acting like he's some sort of future champion are fucking stupid.
Agreed. I think that's a good way to put it. He's like a fine fighter.
Yeah. Like, Gamrot's fine, but he just had some, like, the CDF win was fucking bizarre. The Almond win was both a robbery, and it was just like, he pulls the second win in that fight and nowhere ever else.
And Stevens just got murdered by Natan Schultz, like in the PFL and other journeymen, so it's like some of his wins have kind of been weird. But like Gamrot's fine, but I don't know. I just like Holtzman versus Guida. I think it should be. I think he should be a wider favorite. It's just Guida. He got dominated in the head strikes against Madsen as well, and I don't know. I'm pretty confident Holtzman can minimize the wrestling, and I feel like he's just clearly a better striker, and I'm not going to let him getting beat by like Dariush and Gamrot, who are much better than Guida, like phase me here. What's up?
How dare you say that Gamrot is better than Guida? Clay Guida is an institution. I kind of like the ITD in that fight, because I feel like Holtzman is so hard to control, and it's just two old men who have no defense.
And Holtzman will come after him too,
Yeah, and Holtz can hit. Like, again, I think Guida's an underrated hitter. Like, if it just turned into like two sort of fragile-ish old men just landing 100 head strikes each, I'm not shocked. Because like both of them will just go forward.
The ends ITDs plus 150. I would agree on this. Like with the odds, I'd probably agree with that. Of like playing plus 150 rather than -180 goes the distance. But I'm just playing Holtzman money line. We'll talk about a couple more. Cortez Ribas. I haven't researched yet. I kind of have pre-fight opinions, but I'll let you talk about it first. What do you think here? This is just like this is a good fight. You agree, right?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised Ribas is taking money against her, because I feel like she's just more functional. Cortez's competency is fine. Like, she wrestles and gets back tags and she's solid, but she's not really good at anything else, and she gets tired. Well, I just feel like Ribas is a lot more sort of. Yeah, Ribas is a lot better at mixing the martials, and she could do what Gato did, but I feel like Gato is particularly dumb. I think Ribas is a bit better than that. But again, it's like Cortez can just get two back takes, I guess, and that could be the fight. But I just had this feeling Ribas has a lot of edges in a lot of places. And Cortez might have the most important edge in wrestling, but even then, it's like, if Ribas gets on top of Cortez, I think it's very bad for Cortez.
Yeah, I haven't played this, and I don't plan on it. But I agree with you. I was leaning Ribas too. I haven't taped, but I just feel like she's a better striker, and sorry, my dog's barking. And she defends takedowns at like 88%, and I just don't know like how much Cortez can do on the mat. Like, yeah, she might control her a little bit like Virna did, but Virna's like a good grappler too. And then she only went 1 of 8 on takedowns, and it's like, we're in this world where like just top control doesn't always matter, And I just feel like Ribas probably has more ways to win. So I was kind of leaning Ribas too, but I am a little worried that Cortez can get top time, and just kind of bleed a couple rounds and win. Like, she can definitely do that, but I do think like even like Ribas might land takedowns, like she's a good grappler too. And I feel like she's a better striker, and she's been tough to take down. Like, her takedown defense is pretty good at 88%. I do think Cortez is a good wrestler though. I slightly lean Ribas, but I do think I'm going to pass. I feel like I kind of like what do you think about like a live betting here? Like, who do you think would gas if anyone does? Like, they both seem to have decent cardio, right?
I think Cortez seems to she struggled a few times, like against I think who Cortez against Kish. She kind of had the back end. She wasn't looking great. Against Gato even, she kind of went survival mode, which worked for her. But I don't know, that fight was a bit scrappy.
This is a big step up too. Like, Ribas is fucking good, Like,
yeah,
like
I like
Mello, Agapova, like Kish. I don't know.
Even like Gato, Gato's comparable striker to Rebus, but like Gato was a complete idiot on the mat.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. My feel is like I feel like people are taking like Cortez beating like a D- positional grappler and Gato and trying to put it on to like Rebus, who's like a B+ positional grappler. Like, yeah, she can play guard too much for her own good.
Yeah.
But she's not fucking Melissa Gato.
Agreed. Yeah.
That was
like
idiocy.
I do think like the Cortez top position, Pat, is there. I just don't think it's like as easy as like Gato or other fights. And I feel like Cortez, I don't know. And I just feel like there's going to be times Cortez can't get it to the mat and Ribas can probably build a lead, So I lean her a little bit, but I haven't taped and I'm probably going to stay away, but I do like Ribas there. What are like the decision lines there?
GTD is massively juiced. What do you got? Plus 180, plus 155.
It's like it's like plus 175 decision Ribas. Yeah.
I feel like Rebus has more chance of finding a finish if she ends up on top as well. So like I wouldn't want to fuck with the decision line.
I do think it was distance. So
like Kish fight wasn't a great look for good. Even like the Gato fight, like I had Cortez against Gato and like she
I did too. Yeah.
She probably wins it more often than not, but then like Gato gave her more problems than I thought she would.
Agreed. I was nervous during that fight. Like I remember because I played her as well, and I was just kind of like, oh shit.
The third round got very scrappy.
Yeah. One fight that I actually think is fun. I just want to hear your thoughts on it. Like I don't know if you taped Marshall Rojo. That's going to be like a shit show.
I mean, Rojo's only got 7.5 minutes of karate, so that always gives him a sort of level. That gives him a sort of limitation inherently.
I actually thought Marshall looked all right on tape. Like, I mean, if you land he landed like 6 takedowns and like 110 significant strikes. Like, I just like offense, and he had good cardio. I do think though, I always get nervous whenever you're like beating a bunch of guys who aren't good, and I don't know. Like, you can just show up looking bad in the UFC whenever you get a step up, and I do think Rojo isn't great, but he is a step up.
Still, like Rojo's got these massive cardio and bottom game holes, and it's like, it's just hard to really feel it. Like, again, like I probably, if anything, I just live bet Marshall after a round. Like Rojo usually does well in the first round.
He has a cardio advantage, and just like the grappling edge is there too, and even on the feet, like Rojo's fine on the feet, but like he's still hittable, and Marshall will just like spam 1-2s, like 300 of them. Like he attempted like 200 something strikes in that fight, and he also has ground and pound, and Rojo concedes a shitload of ground and pound, like in the Jourdain fight and all that. Like, I just wish Marshall was a little more proven, because I kind of have a feeling he's just going to maul here. But the non-UFC level thing has just like, it happens too much, where they just turn out to not be very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with Rojo. It's like even if Marshall turns out to be very good, like Rojo's just got these massive holes.
yeah. Like even if Marshall's not good, he might just like sub him on the mat.
or just like exist after 7 minutes and Rojo has a heart attack.
I think a live betting is probably the best there because I noticed that cardio advantage too. Like, I feel like Marshall will probably. I think his wrestling success will come more later too. Like if Rojo really tires.
I mean, it's not the cardio advantage. It's just Rojo just gasses under his own pace. Like Rojo just can't run, just can't be Rojo for that long.
Yeah, and Marshall seemed to have cardio. Like, I mean, you can not be UFC level, but he was putting up offense and not getting tired and consistently hurting that guy that he fought in the Contender Series. But
did we miss Anders Dalkaus, or am I got the wrong?
Anders Dalkaus, we didn't talk about that. I'm not betting it. I think the line's a little wide. What do you think?
Same. Yeah, Anders just kind of golems forward and will make shit happen, kind of, and it's kind of dumb. But like, I just feel like Anders just he just creates close fights. Like it's like Anders versus Park, because like people, I sort of said this is going to be a coin flip, and it ends up being a coin flip. Unfortunately, a coin flip at the minus 251, but oh well.
I just worry about like Dawkins' physicality, and Anders is probably like tougher and more durable and like more physical. But I do think Dawkins is like more skilled at everything. But I just get nervous with Dawkins. Like if he doesn't, he just kind of, I don't know, when he like faces adversity and like someone's physical, he can kind of just crumble, And I do think he's skilled. he's one of those guys who I feel like he could be like, I don't know. He could be like cut from the UFC like soon, or he could like make a run. Like, I don't know.
I mean, Dalkas is good, but the issue of Dalkas is he doesn't really seem to like. He's one of these guys who is well rounded and like a B minus everywhere. But instead of taking the fight to where his opponent has like a bad area, he always just lets the opponent come decide where it's going to take place.
Yeah, he just like, I don't know. I just don't love his like, I don't know. On the feet here, like he's probably more technical, but Dawkins is weird. Like he'll throw like good combinations and then just spam into the clinch, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't really know what his striking is going to look like, but I do think Anders is probably tougher on the feet. And then Anders, Anders has generally been tough to take down. I know like he got armbarred by what's his fucking name, Muniz, but as far as like taking him down and holding Anders down, it's like unless if Dawkins gets like a body triangle, I don't know if he'll be able to do it easily, you know? I do think he could get the back and get like a sub, but if he doesn't, I just don't see him like holding position easily unless if he gets a body triangle. And then like Anders can land ground. Like sometimes Dawkins can get put on his back himself and like get beat up, you know? I don't know. I think it's going to be a shit show, don't you?
Yeah, I kind of don't mind the ITD because I feel like neither has much defense and they're just kind of meet in the middle and smack each other a fair bit. But
yeah,
also it'll probably be like 3 serious knockdowns, GTD kind of shit.
Subs alive for Dawkins too. There.
Yeah. I just generally think it will just be I think it will just be a fun war. My prediction is that there'll be near finishes and yet Dalkas will somehow win the split decision.
Yeah,
and I'll be very grumpy.
I didn't play that. I didn't play any fight on the main card though either. I'm just kind of like, there are some spots I'm like interested in. I played Holtzman. There's like a few more I'm eyeing that I haven't talked about, but what's kind of your exposure here? Any like for sure bets you know?
Bit of Chanel, mostly it's dogs. Like a bit of Tuivasa, a bit of Chanel.
Rolling the dice on the dogs.
Yeah, fish with some Wonderboy like that probably. I'll wait 5 minutes, see if he's moving okay.
Yeah.
Because like my thing with Wonderboy too is like even if Wonderboy wins round 1, it's not like he's going to instantly become like minus 1,000.
Yeah.
Like I could probably get Wonderboy minus 140 with a lot of info as opposed to taking him blind at plus 150.
Yeah.
Anders not bad. I think what else? Manson late rounds. Like Rubus. Most of the prelims don't really do much for me. Elkins versus Pierce just seems like a fucking mess. But Elkins seems to be done.
Yeah, I'll go with like youth and size there, but yeah, I'm just whatever. Pierce is a funny fighter because he's like not that great, but he's gonna just like because he's like a physical grappler, like he's just gonna maul the lower ends of that division, you know?
Yeah, he just does things that wins fights.
Yeah,
I should do Pierce versus Dawson. That'd be fucking funny.
I think Dawson would take him. I just think he's a better grappler, you know?
Yeah, but I think it would be funny.
It would be a good fight. Yeah. I do.
No defense will be involved.
Yeah, I do think because it's like, yeah, I just feel like Dawson's actually technical on the mat, you know, where like Pierce is more like size, and I don't think he'll have that as much versus Dawson, you know, because Dawson's a big dude himself. Are they both 155?
No, Pierce 145. Dawson
is he 140? Oh yeah, it is 145. Yeah. I sometimes I get like confused on where Elkins is at. He's at 145. Sometimes I always like think he's at lightweight.
I think Pierce has fought at lightweight. Wasn't it short notice one maybe?
Yeah, I thought he did too. That's why I was getting confused.
He's fucking massive for featherweight.
Yeah, dude, he's like my height.
Yeah.
What is he like 6'1"?
Yeah, and he's not like he's not like small. He's not like skinny. You know, he's gangly, but he's not skinny.
Yeah, he's 6 feet tall. He's like my height, and he's fighting at fucking featherweight. What the fuck?
Yeah. And he got knocked out by Lauzon that one time, which was hilarious.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm looking now. Is Morales at 55?
Omar, yeah. He was at 45 for a bit, but I think he's back at 55. It's a cut. He got knocked out by...
They fought at featherweight, yeah. So, yeah. Pierce has been bouncing around a little bit.
Yeah, because Morales is one... I think Morales went back to lightweight because he fought, Medic lately and got knocked out.
Yeah, he lost to... How funny is Pierce losing to Lauzon in, like, hindsight? I almost played Pierce at, like, even money in that fight, and I didn't. And it would have been, like, a great bet, and it wouldn't have won.
That fight was that's what I like about MMA. You get these great moments of It's like Faber versus what's Faber versus Simon. It's just great to see that.
Dude, you know what? Which one I got fucked on? And I had a kid making fun of me on Twitter, like on the night of the fight. I bet Fiziev at plus 105 versus Mustafayev or whatever.
Yep.
And he got knocked the fuck out, and he's literally like a title contender. and like some kid made fun of me, and it's like if that fight got made like again, it would be like Fiziev minus 400.
That's not the big Musty.
I got the one time I ever bought Fiziev. It was like, or I played Fiziev. It was like maybe the most EV spot, and I didn't win.
Musty is a coin flip to beat any man.
I mean, he just memed him, but like
that's what I mean. But that's what Musty does. He just runs out for spin kicks.
Yeah, but he's still.
It's the what's called? It's the lead say effect. If I'm gonna just fucking run out and throw a bunch of kill shots, shit could happen for me.
Yeah, I'm just saying he then lost to like Brad Riddell, you know, like his next fight, and Riddell's fine and everything, but I'm just saying Fiziev, we'd all pick him to win in a rematch.
Yeah, probably.
But that's all right. That's everything. Yeah, we'll do. What's next card? I think we have two more.
I think it's days.
Oh, it's a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Jan and Ankalaev.
Oh yeah, because it's supposed to be Glover versus what's his name? Rematch.
I legit think like this card is better than that card outside of like, you know, they have a good main event, Ankalaev and Jan. Other than that, like this card might be better, the one this week.
There's some fun shit show fights on that.
Taporia Mitchell's fun.
Yeah. Like Gordon versus Pemblet will be fun.
Till plus is hilarious too.
Yeah.
And then we have Cannonier Strickland. That would be funny too.
Doucher versus Edmund should be funny.
Yeah. That will be really funny.
Yeah.
I'm not betting Edmund at minus 310 versus anybody.
Wait, if Doucher rocks up like he did against Mab, I think he could actually fuck him.
One of those guys
is
like killer. Yeah, that fight's gonna be hilarious. That's an end in round one type of fight.
Oh, Doucher's weird because like he had that one fight against Mab where he for like 250 strikes in 15 minutes, and then every other fight he's gassed up like 20 strikes.
Yeah.
Because I took Mab, so I was like, well, fucking Doucher's gonna gas because he's Doucher, but he just rocks out and has late cardio for one fight.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna roll though. I got some stuff to do, but no, fun time. We'll talk next week, and thanks for like the 2 people who watched.
Thanks for listening. Cheers, guys.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.